Welcome back to the show, everyone. This is your host, Larry Lou. And this is T3 Transformation Through Truth. As you know, I'm all about emotions and teaching, but we have made a little turn. Another segment in the show, which I like to call Night Night. So if you are, laying down in the bed or riding, going on some trip across the country into another state, visiting loved ones, family or whatever, tune in and just kind of relax. And I just, in this segment, just tell stories that exemplify, certain emotions and feelings. And I'm hoping some of us will benefit and learn from that as well, because we all don't learn the same. We all don't receive information the same. We don't take it in, I should say, the same. So if you enjoy it, please share, like, subscribe. Will greatly be appreciated. Again, this is all about just us growing together and coming into the knowledge of what is good, what is right, what is proper, and just trying to learn from other people's experience. So what I wanted to talk about now, this evening or tonight, is that, I just watched something about, or I should say, I just learned something about Terrence Crawford. I think he's a genuine guy. I like him. He just seems very genuine. I was never a huge boxer fan. I like it, but, with all of the fixes, and they said that, people throwing fights, and I don't know, that just kind of rubs me the wrong way. But Terrence Crawford seems genuine. He just seems real to me. And I ran across his story, and it said that when he was born, his father said that he was going to be a champion. His father said this because I guess he was born with his fist balled up. But his mother, and excuse my language, but I want to quote this correctly. His mother said he wasn't going to be shit. Said he ain't going to be shit. This is what his mother said. So if you don't know this about me, words are very powerful. To know a word is to know its meaning. To speak a word is to release its power. And it's funny how Crawford's life, his adversities and what he went through, everything that happened to him, he could have gave up. He lost fights he should have won, or he felt he should have won. He didn't give up, said he was going to just come back better, and the man did. I just think it's fascinating and honestly quite sad that parents don't understand what words can do to a child. You can either speak life into a child or you can speak death into a child. Now, why a child may choose life over death or death over life, we can talk about that for eternity. I don't think people really know the concrete answer to that. But it reminded me of so many other kids' stories, and it also reminded me of my story. Outside of my father's beating, he used to speak words to me, and they were words of death. I remember so vividly how my mother had this magnet board, and it had letters on it, and she was teaching my sister, me and my sister, how to count numbers and was teaching us the alphabet. I remember this vividly. Kids can remember trauma. Maybe not all of it, and some of it is, our minds forces us to forget because it's so traumatizing. But at a certain age, whether it's 1, 2, 3, or whatever, trauma is at least can be remembered because it's so traumatizing. The body keeps score. The body wants to remember so it can conjure up a defense so it doesn't happen again. So we're sitting there, and my mother is, again, teaching us numbers, teaching us our alphabet. And I look at my father. He's in the mirror talking to himself. But when I look at him, he looks at me and he says, "Don't look at me." He says, "I ain't nothing. I ain't never gonna be nothing." He says, "So don't look at me." This is what he says to me. And he would always speak this negativity. He used to tell himself that he couldn't get a job and that he was a loser. And I remember asking my uncle, my mother's oldest sibling, and I didn't know that they used to work together at the plant. And so because they worked together, they would ride to work together and they would leave work together. I had another uncle that was married to another one of my mother's siblings. And so they all, were like family. And when I told him this story, he was like, "You know what? He did used to talk like that." And I knew I was right, but this just really confirmed it. He said he did used to talk like that to himself. So my father was always putting himself down. Always putting himself down. And I just felt like, I just really felt like my father spoke death into me. And as I look back on my life, I can see how it affected me. I know he didn't understand or know what he was doing, so I don't want to sit there and say that I'm blaming him for all the negativity and all of the fear and all of the shame that I have encountered. But what I do want to say is that parents have to understand that the words that you speak are releasing a power, and that power is programming the child. So I was programmed, I felt like, to be a failure, to believe that I couldn't do anything that I wanted, that I couldn't have anything that I wanted because of the words and, of course, some of the actions behind my father's doing. Again, he didn't know. He didn't know. But if parents, I feel like if they knew that, maybe they would do better. Because I know a lot of parents don't know that. A lot of parents don't understand that. We get emotional and we just say things. We get emotional and we just do things. And it has created a certain program in that child's mind that a child lives with for the rest of his life. Unless, that child, that teenager, that young man, that adult matures and understands that the biggest thing about awareness or becoming aware is unlearning everything that was put in you. That is I feel like the biggest deception about when we talk about awareness is we don't talk about what we have to unlearn. We always talk about what we need to learn or what we need to know to get better. But the bigger picture is to unlearn a lot of the things that were done in our life that have caused us to feel like we can't be nothing but a failure, to basically choose death. Because we don't have to choose death. I know it was chose for us, but we don't have to embody that. Now, as a kid, you don't know anything about that. We don't know anything about that. But as we get older and start to learn, we need to take hold, and we need to transform that negativity into positivity. Crawford went on to win all these weight classes, win all these belts, and I love the way that he talks. He talks confident. It's not, some people would probably call it arrogancy, but he just seems to be really confident. And a lot of us need that. More of us need that. Because a lot of us are choosing to accept death, are choosing to accept what someone said we should be. Crawford didn't. He made himself a champion. His mother thought he wasn't going to be nothing, thought he wouldn't end up being successful in anything. I find it interesting. And we could talk about this even for hours, that why are a lot of mothers so negative towards their kids? That's a question that I would like to know the answer to. I would love to hear a woman's response to why she's so negative to something that she gave birth to. I could think of a million things, but I would want to know, hear the woman who says this or the woman who says these things. I remember being on a cruise ship, and this black mother was just, tearing her little child down, cussing at him, saying he a dumb MF and all this kind of stuff. And he was a child, maybe 4 or 5 years old. And this is the way she's talking to her child. I wanted to go over there and say something. I swear I did, but I already knew where it would end up. We both would have been thrown off the ship, and ain't no telling. It wasn't none of my business, but it was really sad to see. Really sad to see. Because right off rip, I can tell what type of character you have because of the way that you're talking to a 4 or 5-year-old kid. So it's really sad to see, but why do mothers tear down their children? I would like to just hope that there's something that they don't realize. Because the father said he was going to be a champion. Nah, my father didn't tell me that. So I'm just not going to pick on mothers. But I always hear how mothers, at least should have a special bond with the child because this was something that grew inside of them. So you would like to think that the mother would at least give the child an opportunity to be great. But a lot of times they speak death into the child. So I thought that was interesting. I really did, and it just got me to thinking about my own life. I felt a long time how I should be further along than what I am. But on the flip side, maybe I'm right where I'm supposed to be. I've always asked for wisdom, but if that's something that I wanted, I should have known that challenges had to come with a person being granted with wisdom. You don't get wisdom being in comfort. So I didn't know exactly what I was asking, but it is what it is at this point. So I just thought that was interesting. I just wanted to share that with you all, that there are countless examples of people who have had hardships and didn't have the best childhood, but came out of it on top, determined. And I know that there are countless other examples where it didn't turn out the way a person maybe wanted it to. But eventually we have to, I feel like, look at ourselves and be determined within ourselves that we are going to make certain things happen in our life, because we can't wait for someone to come and do it for us. Nobody's coming. If you don't hear anything else, know that nobody's coming. You have to create your own reality. And I know it's hard for a lot of us. I know it's hard for me. But you just got to keep working at it. We got to keep grinding. That's all. We just got to keep grinding. So when the choice of life or death, when you realize the choice that you have been given, choose life. Choose life. It's easier to choose death. It's a whole lot easier to choose death. But we should choose life. We don't have to choose death. We don't have to. A lot of times when choosing death, we choose fear. But only those who risk going too far can possibly find out how far they can go. So we have to risk, sometimes maybe even our life, to the very extreme. Sometimes even life itself. It just is going to depend on how important it is to you. Some people have put their lives on the line for what it is that they believe in, or for them believing in themselves. And it's not always physical life or death, but that mental, that conceptual image, or that conceptual idea that we have about ourselves that we risk. And that's scarier a lot of times than physical death. But we have to put it on the line if we really want to know who we are. And if we really want to succeed. We have to take the risk. We have to invite the fear in order to overcome it. If we never invite it or never let it in, we just running from it. And these are the things that need to happen a lot of times in order to be successful, in order to get what it is that we feel like we deserve. I'm at a point now, and it is very scary. But when you get rid of attachments, true attachments is not you have no feeling for things, but you act and you're just not attached to the outcome. You're trusting in the grand scheme of things. To a point now where I want life, and I want my actions to flow through me and not come from me. I want my actions to flow through me and not just come from me. If you all can understand that. So I thought I would share that story with you. Again, if you appreciate it and are liking this segment of the show, Night Night, please share, subscribe, hit that like button. We greatly appreciate it. Larry Lou, elevation is in order. Peace.